Okay, so this episode didn't go exactly how I planned it to. Normally, by Wednesday, I already have kind of a general idea of what I want to discuss next. By Thursday, there's an outline. Friday, I'm organizing thoughts and all my ideas. Saturday, I'm finalizing everything just so I can record, edit, and post on Sunday. Now, that clearly did not happen because it is now Tuesday. This past week consisted of one stubborn car, two different jobs, and a crapload of back pain. And I kid you not, I didn't even stay awake long enough to catch the Sunday night football game. Like, not even kickoff. That's how done my body was. So, instead of powering through with full raccoon eyes and my usual, oh, I can push through it, mentality, I just surrendered. I stopped fighting and just went to sleep. And honestly, I really, really needed it. But I'll admit, part of me is a little annoyed to have back-to-back late postings. But the other part of me knows that this is what trusting the process looks like. Letting what comes next come. Tonight's episode is titled, It's All Going According to Unplan. And this is Halftime Girl. You know, when I think about moments like this, the ones that didn't exactly go according to plan, I realize they always seem to become the memories that actually stick with me the most. Like, there was this one night, years after high school, when I ran into this old friend that I hadn't seen in forever. And she'd actually been in this really bad car accident. Like one of those where it was a miracle that she even survived. And when she invited me to her birthday party, I was like, absolutely, girl, hell yeah. Like you're here. Let's celebrate that. And she did mention the party was going to be in the city. And if you're not from around here, the city means New York City. So I had worked that day, came home, and right as I was getting ready to go, this crazy thunderstorm hits. Like, I mean, rain coming down sideways, thunder shaking the windows, like the whole nine. And part of me, like a huge part of me, I wanted to stay home. Like, honestly, it made no sense to be out in that kind of weather, but another part of me just knew that I had to go. So I got dressed, I put on my makeup, grabbed my bag, and I was like, screw it. I'm gonna go anyway. So when I finally get there, the whole place is empty. Like, I mean, I walk in and I'm just like, where the hell am I? Like, either I'm in the wrong spot or this party is about to be a disaster. So I tell the guy her name and he tells me to go downstairs. I walk into this little basement lounge thing. There's maybe like 3 people there, 4, including the birthday girl. That's it. But instead of leaving or looking at her like, girl, what is this? I just stayed. We all decided, we were just gonna make the most of it. So we told the DJ to start playing the music. We ordered some drinks. And then we started dancing like there were like 50 people in the room. And you know what? Within an hour, people actually started trickling in. First, it was like, 10 of us. Then it was 15, 20. And before I knew it, the place was packed. I mean, like shoulder to shoulder, body swaying, everyone singing the same lyrics at the top of their lungs, packed. And it turned into one of those nights that just reminds you why you love being alive. And after the party, a few of us stumbled into some random pizza spot. I really wish I could remember which one. And somehow I started singing the Arthur theme song. Every day when you're walking down the street, but I think it was on like in the TV or in the background in the shop. But before I know it, the whole place joins in. Like the workers behind the counter, the random strangers at the tables, everybody was singing this childhood song all at like 3 in the morning. And it was chaotic and it was unplanned. And it was one of the best nights I've ever had. And looking back, I think that's the magic of the unplanned. You can't schedule connection. You can't strategize moments like this. They just they just happen. But only if you're willing to show up anyway. Looking back, I don't know, I think that's the magic of the unplanned. You can't schedule connection. You can't strategize moments like that. They just happen, but only if you're willing to show up anyway. Sometimes even in a storm. I actually think about that night sometimes. Not because it was wild or crazy or even all that special on paper, but just because of what it represented. The night wasn't perfect. It didn't start the way it was supposed to. But once I stopped trying to control the outcome, it turned into something better than I could have planned. And honestly, that's kind of been the story of my life lately. The second I stopped forcing things to fit my timeline, the second I stopped micromanaging every step, that's when the real magic shows up. The thing about control is it's sneaky. It disguises itself under the name of preparation and it pretends to be responsibility. But sometimes control is just fear dressed up in a blazer. It's our way of saying, well, if I can plan it, I can prevent the pain. But you can't spreadsheet your way out of growth. You can't calendar peace. And when you've spent years surviving on just control, when you finally get a chance to surrender, you realize how heavy that grip actually was. And the irony is, life always gives you proof that you're safe, like even when you're going off script. That night in the city, I almost didn't go. I almost let fear of the unknown keep me home. But I would have missed out on one of the most joyful, unplanned memories that I've ever had. And that's how life works. Sometimes the detour is the destination. And if you've ever watched football, which, let's be honest, most of y'all have by now, but you've seen it play out right there on the field. Think about Patrick Mahomes. The man has a plan. Every play starts with one. But the thing that makes him great isn't the plan. It's what he does when the plan collapses. And I can admit that. Even me not being a Chiefs fan, I can admit, greatness when it's there. He's running, he's scrambling, probably about to get sacked, and then boom, out of nowhere, he does a sidearm flick across his body that somehow finds its way into the end zone. Nobody wrote that up on the whiteboard. That's instinct. That's playing from your core, like what we talked about all those episodes ago. But, that's also what I'm learning, your intuition is your internal quarterback. It sees the plays that you don't. It knows where to throw, even when the field looks chaotic. But only if you stop panicking long enough to let it call the shots. Players are trained to run plays, follow calls, and hit their targets. But the greats, they play from their instinct, from trust. They know the playbook, sure, but they don't become robots to it. The playbook got me here, but my intuition is what keeps me in the game. So if your life feels off script right now, that doesn't mean you're lost. It just means that you're finally in flow. So let's talk about how to actually live that way. How to practice it when things don't really go as planned. Because it's one thing to just say, trust your intuition. But it's another thing entirely when you're standing in the middle of the chaos, just trying to figure out what comes next. So for me, I've started to kind of treat those moments like my own little unplanned playbook. Not like a step by step guide, but just reminders for when life starts improvising before I'm ready. So the first one is just to pause the panic. When the plan falls apart, your first instinct is obviously to fix it, to control it, to scramble. But if you can just pause, even for a breath, you'll usually realize that you're not in danger. You're just being redirected. You gotta try to practice feel over force. The body always knows. Tight means fear, open means flow. I've learned that when I feel that openness, that quiet hum in my chest, it's my cue to trust it, even if I don't understand it yet. Thirdly, call an audible. If the plan breaks, it doesn't mean the game's over. It just means you're being asked to improvise. You don't need a brand new plan. You just need the next true step. One decision that feels right now. And don't rewrite the whole playbook mid-game. Sometimes we panic and we burn it all down. The plan, the dream, that goal that we have, when really we just need to adjust our route. The destination can always stay the same, but maybe it's just the timing or the path that shifts. And remember, the best plays are born from broken ones. Mahomes doesn't make highlight reels because every play goes right. It's because he keeps his cool when it doesn't. And that's all unplanned energy is. You're cool under pressure, the faith in motion, and having confidence without control. So, I don't know. Let's reframe the idea that it's falling apart into maybe it's unfolding exactly how it was meant to. One missed Sunday episode drop at a time. And that's what life really is. It's that series of imperfect moments that somehow still line up into purpose when you actually look back at it. And if you're listening right now and you're in that off-script season, maybe your timeline's shifted, or your plans keep unraveling, or the thing you thought you'd have by now still hasn't landed. But don't panic. You're not behind. You're just becoming. And it's all going according to unplanned. So make sure you stay tuned in. Follow the IG at Halftime Girl Podcast. Stay up to date in the Halftime Huddle at beehive.com. And just feel free to shoot me a text or send me an email at halftimegirlpodcast@gmail.com for any advice or questions or thoughts that you have. I've gotten a few different responses about where you are in your halftime journey. And next episode, I'm going to read a few more of them right here. And again, if anything is read on the podcast, don't worry, names can be changed and kept anonymous. So just let me know your preference. But I want to thank you for listening today. If this one resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who really needs it. Remember, you never know who's in halftime right alongside you. Till next time, Halftime Girl, out.